Lot of new quarterbacks coming into the Big Ten Conference via the transfer portal so far. I'm going to rank all of those Big Ten quarterbacks 1 through 14 as we approach spring ball in the next couple of months, and I'm going to tell you why JJ McCarthy tops the list at number 1. But before I do, great time to subscribe to the channel because we got Big Ten football content all offseason long, and always crush that like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted. A lot of quarterbacks coming in. A lot of talent. This is going to be a deep conference in terms of the quarterback position. There's guys at 10, 11, at 12 that I think are going to have good seasons. It's just the depth. Just a lot of good talent coming in at the quarterback position. So why do I think JJ McCarthy is going to be number 1? I've seen him do it at the Big Ten level. Like I just said, there's a lot of new guys coming into the conference right now, whether it's transfers or whether it's high-profile guys that were recruited, like a Drew Allard, like a Kyle McCord, guys like that, and then are now going to get their opportunity at the quarterback position. Whatever it is, why ever their inexperience exists, it exists. They haven't gone against these Big Ten defense on a consistent level. So I can't put an Allard, I can't put a Mordecai, I can't put a McCord at number 1 because I haven't seen him do it. I've seen JJ McCarthy do it against Big Ten defense. You can say what you want, maybe inaccuracies during the regular season. You can talk about the interceptions during the college football playoff semifinal game against TCU. Yes, I know JJ McCarthy is not a perfect quarterback. He's far from a perfect quarterback. But when I look at the returning quarterbacks and I look at certainties, when I look at guys who have played against this level of competition, I believe JJ McCarthy stands out above them all. And I believe he's going to really progress as a quarterback this offseason. I think he's going to get a lot better because you've got a full offseason with him as the number 1 guy. You've got a full spring camp with JJ McCarthy as the number 1 guy. Remember last year, kind of splitting time with Cade McNamara. What are they going to do? Splitting reps. He's going to get 100% of those starting repetitions throughout the offseason, throughout the spring practice period. And I think he's going to take some big-time steps in his development during those periods. It's just, you look up and down the Big Ten, I believe he's the best returning quarterback in the Big Ten. You look at that game against Ohio State, and I know he has the potential to go out and throw for 400 yards and a couple of touchdowns. I've seen him do it. Haven't seen him done it a lot, but I've seen him do it. And the thing is, we might not see him doing a ton next year because you still got Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards in that backfield. Okay, there might be a time midway through the season where we're like, hey, Ted, knock, knock. He ain't doing too well. What are they doing? They're running the football. Look, Michigan's offense is tailored where JJ McCarthy only really gets to display his talent when they absolutely need to. They needed to against Ohio State, and look how it ended up. They needed to in that comeback late against TCU, and he looked good in both of those situations. I believe he's got the best talent in the Big Ten at the quarterback position. Okay, let's get into my power rankings. 1 through 14 in the Big Ten Conference. Let's break it down. Of course, I put JJ McCarthy at number 1, not too far below him. Some people might not necessarily agree with this, but I've got Taulia Tagovailoa. A couple of things stick out to me in terms of some concerns with Taulia. Injuries and consistency. If this guy can stay healthy, he can put up 3,000 to 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. I firmly believe that. When we see him at his best, he's a really good quarterback. And you kind of take a look at the guys just below him at 3, 4, and 5. Those are the guys that I just mentioned in the beginning of the video where we haven't seen a ton of them, and some in the case of Mordecai and McCord, we haven't seen any of them at the Big Ten level. So it's really hard for me to put them that high on the list because we just don't know. When I look at high school tape, when I took a look at the limited reps of a guy like a Drew Allard, when I look at Tanner Mordecai in the G5, it stands out in the tape. It looks pretty good, but you put him consistently week after week after week against Big Ten defenses, maybe some things will change. So that's why I put Taulia Tagovailoa. Although he's been a little up and down throughout his Maryland career, I believe he's going to continue, and I believe he's going to take some big steps forward in that offense in his final year in Maryland. Tanner Mordecai, like you look at the numbers that he puts up at SMU, the reason I'm putting him above Drew Allar and Kyle McCord, a couple of five-star highly recruited quarterbacks to Penn State and Ohio State, is because of the system he's going to be in. I've said it ad nauseum here, it seems so far this January on this channel. I've talked about Phil Longo more than I've talked about Jim Harbaugh. It's crazy. But I firmly believe what Phil Longo is going to do with Tanner Mordecai. Okay, I saw what he did with Sam Howell. I saw what he's done with Drake May. I see what Phil Longo has done with those offenses at the University of North Carolina. He has a bunch of talent. Tanner Mordecai has the receivers. He's got the system. He's got the running back and Braylon Allen to lean on to take some pressure off of him. I would not be surprised if Tanner Mordecai is number one on this list at certain points during the fall of 2023. The reason I put Allar above McCord is just I prefer his skill set. I saw a little bit of him during this season for Penn State. Now you might say, McCord, five-star guy. He's got a ton of wide receivers at his arsenal. You look at Fleming. You look at Ibuka. You look at, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr., and I get that. But I just watched the tape of these two guys, their high school tape, whatever. I just think Allar's a better quarterback. Like, if you put Allar in the Ohio State system, I think he would have better numbers than McCord would in the Ohio State system. That's how I feel right now. A couple weeks into the season, we could see McCord. Once again, like I talk about Tanner Mordecai, I feel kind of the same way about Kyle McCord. Of course, we could see Devin Brown as well, but right now I think Kyle McCord holds all the cards in this quarterback battle. Because of what he has at wide receiver, because of the plethora of weapons in this Ohio State offense, I could see Kyle McCord shooting up this list as well. This is where things get really tough. I took the experience at number 6 in Peyton Thorne. Okay, I believe Peyton Thorne is a solid quarterback. He kind of struggled in the early part of last season, kind of getting used to the changes that were in that Michigan State offense. But as the season went on, he got better and better and better. Like right there at number 6, that's average to an above average quarterback in the Big Ten, and that's exactly how I feel about Peyton Thorne. Now you get into the new guys. I mean, Hudson Card, he's efficient, right? He's 66, 69% completion rate. Jeff Sims a little bit lower, but then again, Jeff Sims has the dual threat capability that I think is going to be very difficult for people to defend within the Big Ten Conference. It's just, we're comparing apples to oranges here. I think Hudson Card's going to blend well into the spread offense that Graham Harrell's going to bring into Purdue. They're going to need another wide receiver or two to really bolster that core. I don't see a number 1 wide receiver in that group right now for the Purdue Boilermakers. Jeff Sims, it kind of depends how they use him at Nebraska. I think he's going to be the quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised to me if Casey Thompson does a grad transfer situation, assumed his credits have worked out that way in the spring ball. You get down to Cade McNamara at number 9 at Iowa is a very interesting spot because I believe Ethan Kaliakmanis is a good quarterback. But once again, we're talking about, and this is just me, and maybe other people have a different way of ranking quarterbacks, but I've seen Cade McNamara go through a whole season of protecting the football, of not doing too much. He's going to fit wonderfully into this Iowa offense, where you're going to have a guy like Caleb Johnson who's going to be touting the rock a lot. You got safety nets in those tight ends, a familiar tight end with Eric All, and of course Luke Lachey coming back. And the receivers are coming together at Iowa. They're not going to expect Cade McNamara to do a lot in this offense, but I've seen him take care of the football. I've seen him lead a team to success. That's why I've got him a notch above Ethan Kaliakmanis. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, Luke Altmaier at 11, this guy was a 4-star quarterback. This guy was in a quarterback battle in the SEC last year. And yes, I know. When I look at Illinois' offense, you're coming off of an offense where you're used to pounding the rock with Chase Brown, and then Tommy DeVito made some plays over the top. There's going to be probably going to have to be some shift in an offensive philosophy for Luke Altmaier to really jump up this list. It's just, this is the depth of the Big Ten right now. This is the depth of the conference. We haven't seen Luke Altmaier a ton. He just came in that Sugar Bowl in relief of Matt Corral a couple of years ago. That's all we've seen of Luke Altmaier. That system isn't, really tailored to big-time quarterback numbers and big-time quarterback production. That could change. right? Because with Isaiah Williams, Casey Washington, with Pat Bryant, they've got good receivers in this system. I could see Luke Altmaier jumping up, but then again, you look at the names above him. Callie McManus, they're going to be throwing it more at Minnesota. You look at Cade McNamara, we've seen what he can do. Jeff Sims, Hudson Card, I think all those guys are better than Luke Altmaier. That's just how I feel, but things can obviously change when we see more of Lukey ball game. Taven Jackson at Indiana. This is a dark horse. This is a guy to keep an eye on, right? This is a 4-star guy. This is a talented quarterback. This is as talented maybe as a quarterback that you're going to get at Indiana. That Tennessee quarterback room, all kinds of full right now, right? They just got the number 1 recruit in the country, number 1 quarterback in the country, depending on who you ask, coming into their class next season. Or was it this season, I believe? I don't know. I can't forget which one it was. But so he transfers to Tennessee, back to Indiana, his home state. He's the brother, I believe, of Trace Jackson Davis, the great Indiana basketball player. So this is a big get for the Hoosiers. They've been recruiting solidly. They've been recruiting, I think, a little bit better than they have any business recruiting. I guess I'll put it that way. But it's all going to depend on what kind of weapons he is going to have at Indiana. He's a dark horse. He's someone to keep an eye on at quarterback. Going to need a lot more development at Gavin Wimsatt for him. But young quarterback in a system, they need weapons. That's what Rutgers needs people to throw to really develop Gavin Wimsatt. Whoever Northwestern trots out there at quarterback, they ain't going to get above number 14. I want to hear what you guys think. Do you agree with my rankings? Do you disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. It was hard to put these rankings together, so if you disagree, I totally get it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.